figuring shit out number 50. Hold
You
on,
don't
bro.
even know.
I
You don't
don't.
even know. It's all right. It's all right. Look, I
50.
said 57 to 59 last time, bro. So I
Hold on.
know we in the 60s yet.
I gotta get this shit because
You
I
about
should
to
have
look
known this.
it
Yeah, I
up.
got to. It's like 57 or 58. I'm about to tell you in 2 seconds.
They be blending together sometimes,
58.
bro.
All right. Figuring
All
shit
right.
out, episode 58. It's your boy Bunny Flacs. Check out my websites, loseperspective.com,
Yeah.
cyberbunny.com. We got King Arthur in the building. What's going on, bro?
Y'all know what time it is, man. Unify and thrive. That's the motto. 2020 faces is we outside. And I got a little quote before we get started. It said,
Word.
oh man, I forgot. No, here you go. It said,
Oh shit, bro.
the
That's how we
message gonna
started.
message. Yeah, that's how we start. The message gonna message regardless the messenger, right? So I wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Unify Thrive, 2020 faces, we outside, man. Y'all know what time it is. Frank Brink is here, bro.
We here today. We got Esmel Meeks.
Yeah.
We go back. He is a DJ. He's a real estate investor, owner, and he dabbled in politics for a little bit. We're gonna just touch base on some of these things. But first thing, before we get started, bro, what is, if you can share with us, your figuring shit out moment? This could be any moment in your life. You had an epiphany, the skies open up, sunshine rain down, and you just, you either figure something out or you learn something that changed your life. You got something you can share with us?
I got a lot of those. I think y'all know I, I've I don't know, I don't live inside a box. I try to experience as much as I can. There's a little bit of time
Thanks.
we got on earth. And so
Mhm.
I've been in, clothing, DJing, politics, consulting, in healthcare now, real estate. And so every day I'm trying to figure out something, right?
Mhm.
And in each of those uh points in my life, I didn't know what I was doing and I figured it out, I guess. But I would say recently in real estate, I got a bunch of different jobs and I realized if I get hurt, if I lose contracts, if I get
Mhm.
fired, if for some reason I can't depend on this contract or employer, then the money stops. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or if I can't renew a contract or find another contract for the consulting that I do, the money stops. And so one of the things that was appealing to me in real estate is what people might call mailbox money, right?
Facts. Yeah.
Where regardless of if I show up every day, and there's still things you have to do to keep up with your portfolio, but that money is going to come in, knock on wood, forever as long as I own those properties. So that's one of the things I was like, I need to figure out how to make money when I'm sleeping. And
Facts.
that's been
The
really beneficial
residual.
for me in the past year. Yeah.
No, that's dope.
That's fire.
I think that's
That's
everybody's
fire.
goal. Try to get residuals, just money coming
Yeah.
in without you really, you do the work one time, and then
Mm-hmm.
you get to experience the fruits of the labor, for years after that. That's what's up.
And Frank, you got any evergreen stuff like that that you do one time and get paid for forever? Or
We are working on building. You know what I'm saying? You seen the stuff we got, like we got our
right.
our social medias and stuff, but it's trickling in a dime at a time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we it's coming. You know what I'm saying? We just got to work it. It's not real estate though. It's just mostly online content, social media, YouTube channels, Rumble
Mm-hmm.
channels.
But I think the content we make
Ads.
is evergreen, right? Because a lot of the conversations we have, we try to, educate people, or at least find something that we can learn from the conversation, right? And then it's gonna live on forever. But this is like probably the only or the most evergreen thing that I do, right? Because if I make a website for somebody, that's gonna need some maintenance, right? If I build my
True.
own app, that's gonna build some maintenance, right? If I sell my mask, that's only a one-time thing, right? The customers may come back, but I still got to go and physically sell the product, right? So, which avenue in the real estate did he decide to go to? You doing commercial? You doing families, fixing flips, tiny homes? What's up?
It's all residential, and the majority of my portfolio is what we call BRRRR strategy.
Right.
So it's BRRRR: buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. It's the
Mm,
goal is to buy a property for net zero, right? And if you have the right criteria and you're buying a house cheap enough, when you go to refinance, and we can unpack that if y'all like, when you go to
yes.
Mm-hmm.
refinance, you get all your money back. And it kind of has like a snowball effect where you get to keep reusing the money. and you don't have to keep, finding. That's the hardest part about real estate, right? If you're buying a turnkey property, which doesn't have much equity in it, it's going to take time for that property to appreciate, right? For you to refinance and pull cash out. But if you buy, a really, really messed up house, there'll be a ton of opportunity to build equity and force appreciation. So that's been really helpful for me. There's a podcast called Bigger Pockets Podcast that I started listening to probably like, I don't know, 2013, 2014. And probably 50% of what I know has come from that podcast. And that's where I learned about the BRRRR strategy.
Oh, that's dope. What criteria, you spoke about criteria, what criteria would you look for to maximize, I guess, profit, maximize return on investment? Or what's something
I think he said that
you,
net zero, right? That net zero.
how does that
the same
work?
thing? Yeah.
Yes. So like there is no wrong way of doing this. Like if you're cash flow positive and your investments are sound and you're making money, you're happy, like everybody has their own criteria. I just kind of do what works well for me. So you're doing like new builds, or you're developing areas, or if you're doing multifamily or you're in commercial, like everybody has their own criteria. I kind of found out what worked best for me. And on the first property, I made a lot of mistakes, and I have a note on my phone called lessons learned. So anytime something goes wrong and I don't like it, it stings, I never want to make the same mistake twice. So I write the mistake, and then I come up with some type of process to prevent that mistake from happening in the future. So I've been trying to buy my forever home since like 2017, and I found this beautiful house on the water, ridiculous price. And my agent said, you probably should offer a little bit over asking. And I was like, I'm good. He's like, you probably should offer about $5,000 over asking. I was like, I'm good. I'm just gonna offer asking. So I didn't get it. Somebody else got it. And that's 2017. So like 6 years ago, the property is doubled in value. And like it wouldn't be I couldn't afford it right now. So that really stung. And so since then I've been looking for a comparable house, and I just haven't been able to find it. And so we were looking at a house, and my agent was telling me that he found a house in Lake Edwards that was cash flowing $1,000 a month. Typically when you hear about rentals, people are happy with about $200-300 a month. For me, that doesn't really make much sense, because the amount of capital that you have to put into it, the amount of risk, like $200-300, I'll just DJ, once a month, to make that. Like that's not very attractive to me. So he found me a house right down the street. I'm happy to share numbers. I think I bought it for like 170. It's now worth like 220. And this was more so like a turnkey property, right? And so I was able to buy that with 5% down, because I intended on living in the property, and then I changed my mind, right? So what your lender is going to ask is, do you intend on living in the property, right? I intend on drinking the rest of this before the end of the interview, but I don't know what's going to happen.
I'm glad you clarified that, because I know a lot of lenders. I know if you go in saying it's for you, right, the rates will be less. But if you go in saying, hey, I'm buying this for a rent as an investment, they hit you on the rates, and you got to put more down, and there's all these other things you got to do, which it would be different if you was buying it for yourself.
I can navigate that, so it'll be okay for this audience. You can buy the property, live in it for a year, right, and then go on to the next property. That's what a lot of people do. But I didn't like the neighborhood, so I decided to stay where I am, and I used that property as my first rental property. And it cash flows near $1,000, right? So I didn't buy that house using the BRRRR method, because I used a qualified QM, qualified mortgage, so Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, right? I paid too much for the renovations. I overpaid for labor, because I didn't know any better. And then I heard from other folks like, nah, you paid way too much for that, right? And so I met other contractors, and I haven't made that mistake again. The second property I bought is a duplex in Norfolk, in Ocean View. And I bought that, I think, for like 190. And so they're two standalone houses, but they're zoned as duplex for whatever reason. And
Right.
so there's a 4-bedroom, and the family's been there for 10 years. They intend to stay there for the rest of their lives. And
Oh,
so their rent covers the mortgage and maybe like a couple $100 more. And then I have this other property, which, total separate property, but same address, unit A and B. It's 537 square foot, like
oh
tiny
wow.
house,
Right,
right?
right, right.
And it looked terrible. So I gutted it. The original floors are pine, red pine. They're beautiful, but everything else we took out. And so lifted the roof, made it a little bit taller. It took probably like 6 or 7 months to do that project, which is,
Dang.
longer for me. It normally takes me about 30, 45 days to turn around a house, but there was electrical issues. We had to get permits. We had to get permitting for my short-term rental. And I tried to do the route that you had mentioned. So my first intention was to use that as I think it's called midterm rentals for nurses,
Right, right, right.
traveling nurses. I put it up on Furnish Finder, got nothing, right?
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do military housing. I
Right.
paid to put it up on Furnish Finder, then I put it on military housing, nothing. So then I was like,
Okay.
let me just try Airbnb and see what happens. And it was Thanksgiving Day. Same
Uh-oh.
day it got booked. Within the next 14 days, that property was booked for 6 months.
That's the on Airbnb?
Wow.
And
Wow.
Airbnb, it's a tiny
Right.
house. I mean, it looks really nice. Like we put a lot of work into it. Um, but yeah, I never have any vacancies in that property.
That's dope. That's
And
super
and when
dope.
did you get that? When did you get that? Before the pandemic or after?
Uh, December 2021 or January 2022.
Okay.
Okay, cool. It is now 2023, going on 2024. Why don't you have a VPN? Only for a limited time, go to piavpn.com/cyberbunny. You could get 83% off the PIA VPN. What is a VPN? VPN is basically software that's used to hide an end user information such as IP address, location, private data they may be transferring over the internet, identifiable information such as their devices they're using from being spied on, from hackers, governments, internet service providers, anybody out there who wants to steal your data for their own personal gain. That's basically what a VPN does. If you want to take advantage of this discount, go to piavpn.com/cyberbunny. Go there now, sign up, tell them I sent you, get your software, get it installed on your laptops, on your mobile phones, on your tablets, any device that connects to the internet, get it installed on there. Get protected. Go now. I got a question though, because there's a housing, as we know, inflation is crazy. Housing is crazy. Like everything is going crazy high. Um, Let me ask you from your experience. I generally ask real estate people this question on the podcast to get their perspective. Do you believe there's a housing bubble? Is it going to crash? Is the housing market going to take a dive? Do you believe that's possible, or is it just what I'm saying, housing? There's not a real issue here with the housing market.
I mean, I would say anybody who says they can predict the market would make a lot of
It's
money,
lying.
right?
Right, right.
So my real answer is I don't know, but the way that I've situated myself, I feel safe, in the investments that I have, right? I would expect for rates to go down. I would expect for rents to continue to rise. And we're in a housing crisis. There's not enough homes, and there's more people that want to buy homes than people that
Mm-hmm.
have homes. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is people aren't buying homes because rates are too high, right? And so people are not going to try to sell their house because they know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, they put their house on the market for 240, it's going to sell for 270, right? So I think people are kind of just waiting. And I think when rates go back down, I think we're going to see more activity in the market, which, investor might say, I don't like to compete, right? A lot of the houses that I buy, I'm buying off market, right? So if I wait to buy a house when rates go down, everybody's going to be trying to buy a house.
Right,
So it
exactly.
might
It's competition.
it it might work better for me to buy a house now when and then wait for rates to go back down and just refinance. So it just
Okay.
depends. Like, do you want to spend more on your mortgage because rates are high, and then wait, or do you want to wait for rates to go back down and it's so competitive that it's difficult to put an offer on a house?
Right.
It's never going to be perfect. And if it were easy and simple, then everybody would be doing it. I think the cool thing about entrepreneurship is when you find a problem, you know, when there's a problem that you can create a solution for somebody else, right? So all these
Thanks.
problems that we have around, I'm able to leverage them and make a good return.
Okay, so cool. I'm going to buy because I mean I just be looking sometimes and I'm like, man, should I buy? And I'll be thinking to myself, should I wait? Should I buy? If I buy something, is it gonna fucking get chopped in half a few months after that? You know what I'm saying? But I guess, like you said, if you get it, you have it. Try to leverage it. Try to make money out of it. And if something happens, you can refinance, which I guess is
So
good.
2007, 2008, the value of homes tanked, right?
Facts.
But if
Yep.
you look at the value of homes 2007 as to where they are now, right? Over time, they should continue to do like this. You know, in the short
Climb up.
term, they might go down and up, but they're gonna go in this direction.
That's true. No, I can see that.
So better to buy and hold, right? And when
For
you
real.
can, just ride it out, right?
Hell yeah.
It's better for me.
For
That's what
you.
I'm saying.
Okay.
Oh, here's another
It's
question. Like,
working out for me.
how did you if you could talk about your strategy like for getting um lending, right? How did you or how are you able to just keep getting approved for loans and then just keep buying property and property? I know it's a credit checks and all that stuff. Do you have a strategy for that? Do you do what's it called?
Yeah.
Creative financing, or are you doing traditional financing or a mixture of those?
I think the most Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac qualified mortgages you can get is 10.
Mm-hmm.
I have two. Um, so after I bought that initial house in Lake Edwards, every other loan has been what's called a DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio, which means that you're intending on using this property as a rental.
Right.
And I think like the ratios are like 1.3, right? So if the mortgage is 1,000, then the rent has to be 1,300, right? And if
Right.
we're using my criteria, $300 is not enough for me. It's always going to be well above that ratio.
Okay, so is this what you're talking about when you're talking with a lender, like when like
Yeah,
for instance
this is private banks. Like, so this is not loans that are backed by Fannie and Freddie. And the
okay,
rates, actually the rates are pretty comparable. They're not they're on par with what you would spend if you were, going to any of these lenders, local lenders, to
right,
buy a house as a rental property.
okay.
The downside is you're going to pay more in fees,
Mhm.
and then a lot of times there's penalties if you want to refinance. So you're stuck 5 years with this product because they
Mhm.
want to hold you there. So, but it's worked out well for me, and it's allowed me to buy houses a whole lot quicker. Because if I was going the QM route,
Right.
qualified mortgage, Fannie and Freddie, I could probably only buy, one property a year. And in the past, 1.2 years, I've been able to acquire 12.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, so basically I want to know, are all these birds, right? Did you all refinance all of them, or and you're renting them out still?
Yep.
All
Yes.
right, now talk about that part. Like, I know it's an anxiety, right? Of being a owner or steward of that much responsibility, right? And just how you manage it, right? You're only one man, right? How do you go about dealing with that?
So I think it kind of is what you make it, right? Like, the thing that I'm stressing about right now is probably the thing that I shouldn't be stressing about, which is DJing this 16-year-old girl's birthday party because I
I
gotta
remember.
prepare all that music. So it's just the
I
time that
remember.
I have to spend, downloading music for and downloading music that I necessarily don't care about, right?
Right.
So it's not like something I'm looking forward to that I'm getting ready to DJ, like, you know,
I did
something
a Sweet
different. But
16. My last Sweet 16 was like in 2015. 8 years ago, I DJ Sweet 16.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I struggle with. I say yes to everything, and then when it comes up on my calendar, I'm like, I'm looking for, if she's watching this, I'm looking forward to DJing your birthday parties. So as I mentioned before, like lessons learned and systems. So uh, I'm very particular as to who I allow to rent my property, right? So you invest all this money and time and good materials into this property so that it rents quickly, and you put the wrong tenant in that property, you're not going to want to be in this space, right? You want to put somebody who's wants to stay in the property for a long while, who's going to take care of the property, who's going to pay their rent on time, and is not going to call you every day because the closet squeaks when they open it, right? And so I have a lot of systems in place to ensure that I put the right tenants there. So we could talk about that at length, maybe offline, but I can share one thing that I do. If I'm on the phone with a tenant and they're qualified, right, and everything lines up, one of the things that I do that most people probably don't do is I'll say, hey, we just dumped a bunch of money into this property and we just want to make sure that it's maintained. Do you care if I come stop by your house and see how your house currently looks? Right. So if you walk in,
Oh, where they're living now, yeah.
yeah, and something's not right, right?
So
And
do
then
they?
another thing that I'll
What?
do
I
is
don't mean to interrupt, but so when you say that and you ask that, do most of them are they cool with it? They agree with it, and they let you
They
check
oblige.
out. Oh, that's dope.
I've never
Okay,
had somebody say no, right? And they have the right to say no, but I've never
right.
had anyone say no.
Yo, I didn't. That's
Um,
dope. I didn't think about that. Let me see
bigger
your crib.
pockets, man.
Yeah, let me
I'm
see
not the
your
author
crib.
of that.
Okay.
I'll talk to their current landlord. I'll talk
Uh-huh.
to their previous landlord because the current landlord might want them out, right? So they
Mm.
might say something to me because they want the tenant out. But if you talk to the previous landlord, they have no reason, you know, not to provide accurate information. So I go above and beyond to ensure that I put a good tenant into the property, right? Because then it's going to make it easier for me to manage. Stuff's going to happen when it got super hot. Like, it seemed like all the AC started to break, right?
Mm.
But the other thing is like, do you have good, uh, you know, uh, uh, handyman to go over there and take care of it? And are they honest? And they give you a fair price? Are they responsive? So you got to make sure you have the right people in place because if you don't, anytime something comes up, it's going to be really hard for you, and something's going to come up. So it's just having good systems in place. And then when something comes up and you're like, I don't know what to do, then utilize your resources. Call like, hey, what would you do if this happened? And then call somebody else, and then use the abundance of information that's available, and then come up with a good decision. And then when you figure out, okay, well, this worked, then you got another system in place, and you just repeat. And if it doesn't work, come up with something better.
I'm just trying to get into the first property. Frank over there got here, and it seemed like I'm playing the game of uh the Joneses, right? I'm staying in my circle, staying where I'm at, I'm staying happy. Like I ain't looking at everybody and trying to, look at what they got. You know what I'm talking about? But I just know it's time for my family to grow into some more space. You know what I mean? So
Hell yeah, 3 kids, bro. It's your time, bro.
yeah,
You should
I'll make
get
it
something
happen.
this year, bro. You keep waiting and prices keep going up.
I'm working on it, bro. I told you. Life just moving super fast. But Meech, you said something about going above beyond. I was listening to Jim Rohn the other day before I went out to go sell. And he was just saying, ask a third time. If they tell you no twice, ask them a third time, right, to buy. Like we'll talk about your persistence and tenacity with some of the real estate stuff that you had to deal with.
I probably look at maybe 50 to 100 properties a day, right? So, which means the majority of stuff that I'm looking at is not going to work, right? And so, price and location, bedrooms, right? If it's in Virginia Beach, it's got 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, and I could buy it at 70% ARV, and it might be helpful to talk about that method. Then
Yeah.
you have to be very aggressive because it's not going to last long. And
Right.
that's if it's on the MLS. I typically try to buy houses off market. So you have wholesalers that will send you stuff. And because it's so competitive, wholesalers are charging you the same that you would charge or that you would buy a property off MLS from. So like it's very, very, very hard to find a property that works for my criteria. So when I find it, I gotta like run through walls to make sure it happens. Like what do I need to do? I'll write an offer right now.
Right.
You just want to be very attractive to the seller. So I guess being tenacious, right, is buying my first property off market, and basically trying to act like I knew what I was doing when I had never done it before, right? And so you have a seller that wants to sell their house because they're in a difficult situation. So it could be health issue, it could be going through a divorce. For some reason, they want to sell that house quickly and not put it on the market. They're going to sell it at a discount, right? And they probably have never
Wow.
done this before. And this is probably the biggest investment that they've ever made in their life, right? And so it's incumbent upon me to ensure that I'm being honest, that I'm providing as much information as possible, and then I'm making the seller feel comfortable, right? Because if this stranger's walking into my house and they're trying to buy my house, some people might assume that this person's trying to take advantage of me, right? And
Right.
so
Yeah.
what I found in buying houses off market is the more information you provide, the more transparent you are, the more likely that person is going to sell to you. Because like they'll say, like, I'll say, this is what it's going to cost for me to repair the house. This is how much the house is going to be worth after I make repairs. This is how much I'm going to rent it for, and this is how much profit I'm going to make in rent. You could do this, right? But this is what I intend on doing. And most of the time, they're not in a position, nor do they have the relationships or resources available to be able to put the money and time into that property and turn it into an investment. So because I'm overly honest with them, I've heard that several times. Because you've been so honest with me, like I want you to have it.
Right. Yeah. So do you work with a real estate agency, or are you doing private sales yourself? Like you going out finding private sellers and doing the deal yourself? Is that, or
Yeah.
you still have a,
About
oh, that's what's up.
So about half of the deals that I bought have been off market, and the other half have been off the MLS.
Okay. Yeah. So you jumped in, when you jumped in, your first one was by yourself?
Yeah, all these have been by myself.
Oh, that's crazy.
Scam money don't
Well,
make no money. If
No, because
I'm gonna take your money.
no, I gotta commend you for that, because I've purchased 2 houses in my life. We went through real estate. They got that 3% commission, buyer, seller, real estate, whatever. And the paper, I don't know, just the paperwork and the legalities and the lawyer fees and all that seems crazy to do. I mean, if you know how to do it, I'm sure it's easy. But if you don't know, right, I can imagine the learning curve to learn all of that paperwork and all that stuff is ridiculous. But yeah, that's dope. I didn't know you was doing the deals yourself. That's what's up. That's crazy.
the good thing is they're always the same, right? So you can, it's something called a HUD and an ALTA that you look at before you close, and there's a line item for everything that's going in and out, every dollar amount on that transaction, right?
Right.
So all you have to do is copy and paste that information into a spreadsheet, and you can anticipate what you are going to have to spend on each deal. So I'll do like a napkin thing, and if the numbers make sense, then I'll throw it into a spreadsheet, and then I get super detailed, right? And then I go into the house. So when I did my first house, I didn't know what I was doing, but now I can walk into any house, most houses, and within 10 minutes, I know like this is gonna cost me 30K or this is gonna cost me 70K.
No,
You know
that's
what I mean?
dope. You need to put a master class together or something, bro, because that's what's up. This whole time I thought you was getting real estate, working with a real estate agent and like doing all, that's crazy. That's what's up. Props to you.
Yeah. So half of them, half of my deals I have purchased off the MLS. And I've used a real estate agent. The other half I've, done by myself.
Dope.
Hi, I'm King Arthur, founder of Novel Views Tech, where we prepare children aged 10 to 17 for a future shaped by advanced technology. Our curriculum dives into fields like robotics, nanotechnology, quantum computing, and more. But what really brings learning to life are our bi-monthly, Exploring the Future of Technology, webinars, hosted by industry experts. These webinars aren't just lectures, they're interactive discussions that connect your child to the pulse of the tech world, creating a learning experience that goes beyond the classroom. We offer a money-back guarantee to ensure you're completely satisfied. Equip your child with the skills to not just adapt, but to innovate and lead in the future. Join us at Novel Views Tech and let's build their future today.
I want to talk about the what is it, the sticky note you got, or the lesson pad you called it.
Lessons
How long
learned.
is that? Yeah, how long is that thing, right? Because lessons learned are only lessons learned when you're able to hit that obstacle again and pass the lesson, right? It's super easy to get stuck on the same level because you ain't write the shit down, or you weren't aware and perfectly present when you seen the problem. Like, so where'd you get that idea from a lessons learned pad from, and how beneficial?
I learned it from Scott Ridgel, my mentor,
Okay.
who's the member that I work for. Man,
Congressman.
probably, yeah, most incredible person I've met, most impactful person in my life. But for him, I wouldn't be doing a lot of this stuff.
Oh, that's dope.
So he would speak at an event, and he would call it sandpaper, right? So when you're building a piece of furniture, when you get to the end, it looks right, but there's small things that you need to touch up. And so we get in the car and say, okay, what's my sandpaper? What did I do wrong? And I would say, you did this really well. You need to improve upon this. So he always wanted to get better and better and better, right? Regardless of him being a senior member of Congress and me being this young 20-year-old, he wanted sandpaper. So I think that's something we should do every day. This constant improvement, being 1% better, whether that's going to the gym or eating right, or as y'all get better in this podcast, what do we like about this interview? How can we make it better?
Facts.
And people will notice that from the outside. So yeah,
No,
when I'm
dope.
my best self, I do that. And in real estate, I have to do it. It's too much at risk.
Hell yeah. No, that's dope. Was
That
it?
sounds
You
like
gotta stay improving.
who is it? Earl Nightingale. I listen to all this kind of stuff. Go ahead.
I would say the best lesson learned for me in real estate is writing on the wall, like literally writing with a Sharpie. Somebody installed a mini split HVAC condenser right in front of a cabinet. So you couldn't open the cabinet, right? Because I said I wanted it to the right of the bed. He put it all the way to the right. So so things that, or like I've had somebody open up a wall on the wrong wall, right?
Wow, that's
They
horrible.
So you just assume, like, I want to open it up so the kitchen, is open concept, blah blah blah. And you just assume they are thinking what you're thinking, but you can't do that. So I go in there with a Sharpie. I draw exactly where it needs to be cut open.
Right.
I'll write it in Spanish if it has to be in Spanish. I go above and beyond when it comes to communicating, because you can't assume that the person knows what you want.
Nah, that's fire. Who
And
was it? Earl Nightingale. Like, it was just one thing he was just saying, like, it is old, so that's why it's on top of my head, because I listen to it a whole lot, and like he was just saying, pilots have a list when they take off, a checklist that they gotta check through every time they take off, and he said because it's too important not to, and then, like you're saying, the list for you is too important not to. So I got a list of stuff that is too important not to do, but it's more like as I'm looking at it or thinking about it, like mine is more of a consistent thing, right? I'm going to work out. I'm not going to hit these things, right? It's never what's that extra thing I'm going to add to it to make it better, right? Or that I can build on top of it, right? So that's what I was just thinking about when you said it.
That's dope. I got a question. Because I'm trying to wrap my head around something.
Okay.
First question. This is a two-part question. Two-question part. First part. How do you find a person that would be in a position or want to sell their property they're living in? And do you obtain the funding first, like get approved through, your banks, Fannie and Freddie, for what you would need? Or do you talk to the seller first, get them on board, then go to a bank and get the funds? Or I guess for the first property, you probably have it now, but how did that first one work? Did you get the money first and then talk to them, or talk to them and get the money?
Yeah, so qualified mortgages that are backed by Fannie and Freddie just means that they're backed by the federal government. Means the majority of mortgages that Americans use, right? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about Fannie and Freddie Mac. Like the house that I'm living in right now, I paid 3.5% down, and I think this mortgage is through like Wells Fargo, right? So that's the bank. but the mortgage is backed by the federal government. You know what I mean? And then that first property that I talked about, those are just, your traditional mortgages that most Americans use. The rest of my loans are from private lenders, private banks. I'm happy to share, I use a bank in Baltimore called Dominion Financial, right? And I
Okay.
use a loan product called a DSCR loan, where you're buying a house and you're going to use it as a rental property. Instead of them looking at how much cash you have, or your like W-2s and your bank statements, they're using the property, right, as the reason to lend it to you. So if they know that it's going to rent for enough money plus a little bit more to cover the mortgage, then they feel comfortable lending you that money. That's how they're going to give you that product.
Oh, okay, hold up. So it's not a credit check thing for the individual?
You got to have good credit,
Okay,
right?
okay, okay,
Like
okay.
there is a minimum, but when you're getting a loan from like Atlantic Bay Mortgage or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like they're using different criteria to determine whether or not how much they can loan you. You
Right.
know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay. So yeah, you gotta
Like
be
they give you a pre-approval, right, of X amount based off of how much money you have, how much money you make, that and your credit,
okay.
right? My bank is loaning to me based off of how much money I can make off the rental property.
Okay. So how do you get to that point where I guess so if you're their customer, they know you, they have history with you. So you build that rapport. So I guess for you it's probably easier because they know you and they've done business with you. So how do you get to that level, or how do you get a loan like that where it's not necessarily weighing so much on you, but they're weighing on the property that you're looking at? Or is that something that you have to build over time to get to that point? And there's not really a way to just find a bank that'll just be like, let's look at the property you're trying to get and like not focus on you. You know what I'm saying? Because I know people out there gonna ask, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like whether they have good credit or bad credit or mid credit, some people like, yo, if they're not focusing on me, um, you know what I'm saying? They looking at the property. Like I could imagine how that would be super dope to leverage that
Useful. Yeah.
product. And even if you have, not horrible credit, but you have some things on your credit, you could still get in the game at least some type of way. You know what I'm saying? So can you talk about
Yeah,
that? Or is it
I don't want to misspeak because you know, I'm qualified,
right?
but I don't know, like you have to have minimum credit score of this. I don't want to misspeak, but I'm sure that, Dominion Financial has the information online. I think the barriers are, how much they're lending you, right? So you still got to bring 25% to the table. But remember, like, I always intend on getting all that money back. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like, I'm not letting 25% sit in the property because
Right.
let's say you have like, I don't know, just for easy numbers, let's say you have 10K sunk into a property and your cash flow is $1,000 a month. It's going to take 10 months for you to break even, which is excellent, right? But
Facts,
most
yeah.
of the time that's not the case. People have, 40K, 30K into a property and they're only cash flowing, $300-400 a month. That's going to take forever just for you to break even
Mm-hmm.
to turn a profit. Right. So I'm trying to turn a profit within the
Facts.
first year. Or, when a deal is like great, it's what I call a home run, is
Mm-hmm.
when you cash out refi and you look at the bottom of your spreadsheet and it says zero, which means that's zero money that you have in the property. So all the rental money is profit. We talked about the 70% ARV thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like the easiest way to determine whether or not, if you or me, you're trying to use the same method, whether or not this is the right property for me. So I use the 70% ARV rule. ARV means after repair value, right? So after the property is renovated, um, your agent or you can run something called a CMA. It's an analysis to determine what that property is worth. So same square footage, same bed and bath within a, half a mile or 1 mile radius, sold in the last 3 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what your property is worth. What a similar house in a similar neighborhood sold for in the past 3 months, right? So you can do a search and say, okay, we got a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,600 square foot, it's going to be worth, let's just say for easy numbers, $100, right? So I go and look at the property, and in these new kitchen, these new bathroom, blah, blah, blah. Let's say that I say the repairs are $20, right? The most that I could buy that house for, $50. 50 plus 20 is 70, which is 70% of 100, right? So everything, here's another thing is I always assume that the renovations are gonna be more, right? Because sometimes you try to say, I really want this property, and you use emotion to help you make your decision. You can't do that in real estate, right? I always tack on an extra 5K for things that are gonna always pop up. And if they don't, that's great. It's a better deal. But okay, so you do the renovations, right? Then you put a renter in your property. And there's something called a seasoning period, which I didn't know about, and I'll explain what that is. But you put a renter into the property, and then you go to the bank after 3 months. The seasoning period for a qualified mortgage is a year, but with DSCR loan, 3 months. And then they give you 80% loan to value. So they're going to give me 80K, or sorry, I'm using hundreds. They're going to give me $80 back, right? Because the house is worth 100, then I get all my money back. And you're like, oh, you made 10K profit or $10 profit. A lot of time that money gets chewed up in fees, taxes, when you go through the title process, right? So, bro, if you get a property, you have an asset, a cash flowing asset. You're making probably $900,000 a month. That's going to appreciate over time, right? That's great. So you're building your net worth because the property is going to appreciate in value. And then you have a paycheck coming in once a month from every single one of your tenants.
That's crazy. No, that's a dream, bro.
You can't do that. It's going to be really hard to do that in the stock market. You know, you can't just put money in the bank and save it and make that money. Like,
not at all.
There's very few asset classes that, can provide this type of income and, be life-changing for your family, which is why I love real estate.
Yeah, man, it's about time, bro. I've been playing with the idea for a while. I think I'm ready to jump.
I want to clear it up for some people, because you told me this before, right? So basically, you want to find the comps of a place that you want to buy, right? And that'll kind of be your number to start with. And so when you're going to buy the house, like you said, you only want to spend a certain amount, like, was it $20, was it? Or 50? You only spend $50, right? And then the other 20 was for the repairs, right? And so if you able to find a house that's worth $100 in the area, if you're able to find a house worth less than $100 in the area where it's worth $100, is worth looking into, is what you're saying. And so not necessarily if it's $60, it's not that enticing, but like if you say you can get it for $40 or $50, right, it'll be worth your time.
But let's say you can't do 70%. Like there's some times I gotta buy 75% or 72. Like, and let's say after I get money back from the bank, I only get, I'm like in the whole 5K. Right. Yeah, it's still a win. It does, just because it's not a home run. Like I don't really know the baseball nomenclature, but you got 3 base hit or whatever.
Right.
That's a win. You know, I'm just looking for home runs. But if I know, like, okay, I'm gonna be in the hole for blah blah blah, how long is it gonna take me to get that money back? I'll get it back in a year, and everything after that is profit. That's great.
Hell yeah.
So, like 70% is my goal, but it's it's extremely hard, and I've done it a couple times, but it's extremely hard to find those deals.
Are you looking for a media agency that covers all the creative tasks that make a business successful? Lucid Perspective produces elegant, high-resolution graphics and logos, high-definition and 4K video, complete with treatment concepts and innovative editing. Lucid Perspective provides photography services such as fashion, advertisements, product or service, and aerial photography. We also help businesses build their brands from the ground up with complete campaigns that will make your business attractive to your target audience. We can bring your brand to the masses with our effective and strategic marketing campaigns to include sales funnels, eye-catching advertisements, breakthrough digital marketing through social media, and other digital avenues. Visit lucidperspective.com today. That's dope. So your day-to-day, bro, you said you look at 50 to 100 properties a day just to buy them. Like that's your bread and butter, 9 to 5. I wake up, look at properties, see if I can buy this.
Bro, no, it's like this. You're just looking, delete. It's not, you already know, like, that's too much. That's too much. But when you see a property that's like distressed and it's cheap enough, you're like, hold up. And you get on the phone, you're like, hey, have any offers been put on this? What do you think about this property? Can you run comps? That's step number 2. And if the comps make sense, let's go look at it. Then you know what the repairs are, and then you buy it.
How fast are you acting?
It's immediately. Well, let's go look right now. Because if it's a good deal, it's not gonna last.
Facts.
Right. And then you get on the phone like, hey, what do I need to do to get this property? I want it.
That's dope.
I like that.
You have to. You can't, because let's say I'm not like that. I'm like, let me think about it.
It's gone.
I'm not sure. And then you call back, hey, I think I want to get it. Yeah, we already ratified.
Out of here.
Can you talk a little bit about how competitive the real estate game is? Like I know, I feel like over the past few years, there's probably been a lot more people jumping in to buying property, myself included, and I have some other friends, and it's just a huge trend, I guess, of just people trying to jump into real estate to buy and hold. What's the competition like? Like, do you go to like real estate conventions and talk with other people, or is it like cutthroat? Like y'all hate each other? Like what's the culture like?
No, it's not cutthroat for me. I mean, I'm sure there's cutthroat people in any industry, but I haven't really experienced that all that much. And I try to surround myself with like-minded people. I think it's just God, really. Like, stuff is literally just falling in my lap. But like, I'll mention to my friends, like, even King is like, that's crazy calling you that. He's trying to send me stuff.
It took me a little bit to get used to.
I'm like,
that's funny.
I think it's just, being positive, putting good energy out there, and it comes back. So I'll just literally just from having, okay. So we're doing renovate. I own 4 houses in the same neighborhood, right? So the very first one that I talked about, where I said I walked in there, I had to pretend what I was doing. It's a townhouse, and the neighbor next door, he was like, "You guys are making so much noise. What are you doing in there?" I was like, "Oh, come inside. Let me show you what we're doing."
Right.
We chopped it up. We have a good relationship. He's like, well, I might be interested in selling my house. Would you want to buy my house? Bought his house, and I bought his ex-wife's house around the corner. Just from, I could have opened the door and be like, "What do you mean what we're doing? We're fixing the house," but just being a good person and open and transparent.
That's dope.
Made him feel good. Yeah.
That's fire.
So yeah, it's a lot more competitive now than it was 10 years ago, right? Like Blackstone and other venture capitalists and banks are going into neighborhoods and buying up everything, right?
And they
it makes it harder for the small guys, like me. So it's very competitive, but Blackstone doesn't have the individual relationships where I'm talking to people in the community, where I'm getting layup deals. So that's the difference. There's no matter how competitive it is, somebody's out there eating. Somebody's out there finding deals. It's just how hard are you willing to look for it?
No, that's real. That's
a fact. That's a fact. God dang going. So I just want to say this. Burger King and Walmart, and Burger King and McDonald's, same corner. 7-Eleven, Wawa, same corner.
Yeah.
Dillard's and JCPenney's, same mall.
Lowe's, Home Depot,
same block.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? There's no reason why you can't find your space in whatever you're doing, right? There's no reason why I can't make websites too. And people can make their own websites. But still, there's a lane for people to make websites for other people. Me and Frank make websites. Me and Frank make websites together. There's not a shortage of opportunity out there. There's definitely a shortage of imagination and creativity, but there's no shortage of abundance, right? Like there's no shortage of getting your ass up and getting to itness. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Yeah,
No, that's
like
real.
that.
That's
Yep.
real. No, that's a bar. That's a bar.
Mindset.
That's dope, man. I'm ready though. I've bought houses just to live in. Like I've never bought a property to invest, but I think we're gonna do our first one this year. We solely just want to buy to rent it out. Um, I, I'm not sure if we want to do the 1 year leases, you know, like the long term, because I've seen this money these nurses are paying for these 3-4 month terms. And I'm like, I'm ready for that money. So what you said, your strategy was more, you like the long term, right? Like 1 year, 2 year leases or whatever. Have you done a short term with like the traveling nurses? You said when you looked, you didn't find any, so now you're sticking to long term. Is that beneficial for you? Are you gonna ever go back and look for the short term, or you gonna stick to like keeping people in there for longer terms?
So I have one short-term rental,
Mhm.
and nurses look on Airbnb
Mhm.
for their places as well. So I had a nurse staying there for a while. Unfortunately, it just so happened to be this person. He wasn't a great tenant. He kind of
Oh,
thrashed that place. But that's just one nurse. I had another, she stayed for like 90 some days. I had a nurse stay for 30 days. She left it looking really nice. But yeah, so for the traditional rentals, I would love for that renter to stay there forever, right? Because
mhm.
if a family's only staying there for a year, then every year you gotta do new paint, you gotta go in there,
Right.
you gotta make it look brand new again. You gotta so I don't want to keep having to turn over properties. Like I would love for my tenants who are great tenants to stay there for as long as they want to stay. Yeah.
Right.
And then with the Airbnb, I like it that, people are staying on average, I guess, for like a week, right? The longer they stay, the more wear and tear on the property, right? So if they're staying shorter, then that place is staying fresh because it's getting,
Mhm.
cleaned by a
So that's a
professional cleaner every
pro.
time someone leaves.
Yeah, that's
But
a
but
pro.
it's the con to short-term rental, even though it's more lucrative, you got to pay all these fees to the city. Uh, you got to pay the cleaner every time that they go in there.
Mhm.
It's more, you got to constantly communicate with your guests, so it's a lot more hands-on than
Right.
your traditional rental. But it's probably double. You're making double.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing is like when it's just short term, you're not gonna charge or what the regular rate is for a year. You can go double that, and that's what we done. My brother got a tenant in a condo. We rented out in May. They're gonna leave at the end of August. First time, you know what I'm saying? So we getting our feet wet. We learning the ropes. He's learning the ropes. You know what I'm saying? We got a property management thing we're doing. And I'm excited about it because I'm like, yo, I seen what he did, you know what I'm saying, with my help. And I'm like, all right, I could do this. Let me get my shit, throw some people in there, see how it goes. And then maybe, I don't know, get them, what you call it? Let me where is it?
Mailbox money.
Mailbox money. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, mailbox money.
Recipe snips. Yeah.
So the thing about short-term rentals, I thought that you had to have like a beach house or like this, I just thought when I think short-term rental, I think like vacation,
Vacation, yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
I was getting my haircut. I wish I remember the barber's name. He was telling me like, yo, we got this uh 2-bedroom house across the street from Walmart in Norfolk. And I'm like, what? He was like, yeah, it's like always booked because everybody's different. You have your different caliber of people, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes people just want an affordable place to stay. And as long as you make it look nice, bro, you can have an Airbnb anywhere. I
That's true.
mean,
Wow.
Virginia Beach is limited, of course, because of the policies that are in place. But yeah, I got this. I have my short-term rentals in Ocean View, and it crushes it. It
That's what's
does
up.
really well.
That's what's up. That's an inspiration, bro. I can't wait to jump
Yeah,
in.
for sure. I see y'all, I see both of y'all spiraling up. And that's my thing, Frank. Spiral up, spiral up. The people who don't belong out there with you won't be there. I'm coming, y'all. I'm gonna fly out there with y'all.
True.
Don't worry about it. Hey, look, so here's our
Come
last
on, man.
question right here. Like, what's the one thing you're trying to figure out now? So, like, you gave us your figuring shit out moment. So, what's the one thing you want to figure out moving
Dang.
forward?
Uh, dang, man. A better
Where the
relationship
babies
with
at?
with God.
Okay, my
No.
bad. He number
Wow.
one.
Yeah, that's number one for me is like having a better relationship with God. That's the one thing that I'm trying to improve upon.
That's dope.
Okay, that's fine.
That's
I
dope.
can't argue with that one.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
How you plan?
I don't
How
gotta
you
figure
plan
out
on
how to
doing it
get
though? That was
kids.
just
I know
so. Yeah, that was so easy. How you plan on getting closer to God?
it's honest. So like you know, growing up, I grew up like I guess like a fundamental Christian, right? So like believing the fundamentals of Christianity, but never truly having like a relationship with God. And I think because it was always forced, right?
Mhm.
So I never really wanted to do it on my own. And like, you know, only praying when things are bad, right? One of the things
Right.
that's good about me
Mhm.
is I am the best when I'm at my worst. Like put me in any sticky situation, I'm gonna figure out, you know, how to get up out of it, or give me anything difficult, right? If I want to learn real estate, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna be good at it. Like whatever. Like I believe in myself, but sometimes when things are really good, I coast, which is not good. You know, you get comfortable. So like I found that with my relationship with God is just always asking for something when things are bad. And you know,
Right.
I've been researching a lot like why don't I hear from God? And it's because I don't have a relationship with him. Like I could
Mm.
close my eyes and someone can play a recording of Toot or King, and I would know it's him because he and I have been friends since we were like 15, 14, something like that. So I have this relationship with him.
Right.
I never worked on trying to build that relationship, right? And so whatever religion you subscribe to or dogma or belief, you know, respect, all that. But I think one thing that's similar is putting in the time and spending time, you know, with your creator and allowing
Right.
that, you know, God or universe or whatever for you to have a relationship with that space. And that's one of the
Mhm.
things that I'm trying to be more intentional about instead of just like when I'm in a messed up situation, now I'm like, God, help me out. You know what I mean?
No, that's
That's what
dope.
I meant.
That's dope. Yeah, spiritual, being spiritual is definitely important. It puts a lot of clarity on things. And it's funny, you could tell when, not to talk down on people, whatever, you could tell when somebody's like in a higher vibration space and when someone's in a lower vibration space, how they deal with shit when they're in different, what I'm saying, vibrations. You got the people that high vibration, try to figure it out, stay calm. And you got the people that panic, fucking go crazy, buku, and fucking make shit worse, right? So yeah, that's part of being a spiritual person. So that's definitely important. So
That's fire.
yeah, man.
So I guess the message is gonna message regardless of the message. Yeah.
Facts.
Full circle. Yeah.
Put that on a t-shirt. We put that on a hat or something. In a t-shirt.
Stickers, boy. I want to put my hands on the stickers and hand them out for $3.
Let's
I got
go.
ideas.
Let's
I
go.
gotta execute though.
We do gotta merchandise the podcast though. We got enough content, enough stuff to pull from. So that'll be next. But
I think it was David Allen Greer from In Living Color. That was like message. Was that him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he took it back. That's what's up.
Showing
Yeah,
your
man.
age.
But the shit, we all getting up there now. Shit. I'm about to be 39.
All y'all better work out. Look, I'm gonna cut this whole episode off. All y'all better work out. Yeah. Yeah, Frank.
That's facts.
Meeks.
That's facts. That's facts.
I'm
I
out
got
here,
my
man.
gym. I got my gym. I've been in there though. I've been in there.
I'm on y'all last though. Pause.
I'm in there. Yeah, pause that. All right, but all right, Double Meek, this is dope, man. It's good catching up, bro. Don't stay a stranger.
For sure.
We gotta do this again. Man, if I got questions,
tell the people
bro,
how they can reach you. Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you up for real. Yeah, do that. What's your socials, website? If anybody want to hit you up, buy a house from you, sell you a house, what's up?
I think Instagram is probably best. ESMEL MEEKS. That's my Instagram. DM me. Happy to help anybody that needs help. Any questions you might have, just DM me. I'm happy to be a resource.
Oh, that's dope. I'm gonna definitely hit you up because I'm trying to get these DRCs, DREC loans.
DSCR.
DSCR, that's the one. Yeah. All right, man. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Have a good night. This was 58. Check us out every Saturday. Appreciate you, man. Have a good night. We'll talk to you next time. All right.
Peace.
All right.